There's a woman I sat with not long ago. She's been in therapy since she was 14 years old. She's now in her late 40s. Do the math with me. That's more than 3 decades of showing up to do the work. And she has done the work. When I say she's done the work, she's done it. She knows how to regulate herself. She knows how to talk herself down off the ledge. She knows how to talk herself out of the thoughts that whisper she shouldn't be here anymore. She knows how to pep talk herself. She knows how to invite a positive thought into a dark mind. She knows how to look at her own reflection in the mirror and say, you deserve love, you deserve a good life, you deserve peace, etc., etc., etc. She knows all of it. She can practically teach it to us. And then she told me one thing, the one thing she has never, not once in 30 plus years, been able to overcome. She said, at the end of my day, when I lay my head down to sleep, I don't believe a single word of it. She can save her own life. She can regulate her own body. But she cannot believe herself. She has never learned how to train her mind to believe the things she says to herself, the things her therapist taught her. She says the words, and the words are true, and they bounce right off. If that is you, if you have ever done everything right and still didn't believe your own voice, this episode is for you. Stay with me. What lives in the body that history never spoke about out loud? That's the question we carry into every episode. Hello, my soul family. I am Afi G, and welcome to I Am Afi G, What We Carry, conversations on lineage, shadow, and ancestral healing. This is a special episode. This is truly a special one. It comes straight out of a private client session, shared with her permission and with every identifying detail stripped away to protect her. I'm not telling you her story so you can know who she is. I'm telling you her story because I have a feeling some of it is also yours. A care note before we go in. We're going to talk about suicidal thinking, about abuse, about grief that goes all the way down. If any of that is alive in you right now, be gentle with yourself while you listen. Pause if you need to. And if you are in crises, please reach out to a crisis line or a professional in your area. In the US and Canada, you can call or text 988. This podcast is reflection and teaching. It is not a replacement for care. Hold both. Let me give you the shape of what this woman has carried, because the block we're going to talk about doesn't come from nowhere. It has roots. So by her own understanding, the trauma started before she was even born, while she was still in her mother's womb. And then it kept coming. She was abused as a child. She grew up and married a man who abused her, who thankfully she is divorced from. She became a single mother. She has never, in her whole life, been able to find romantic love that stayed. And she is raising children who carry their own mental and emotional struggles, which means She is pouring out even while she's running on empty. This is a woman who has survived almost everything life can throw at a person. And she's in her late 40s still standing. So when she tells me she can't believe she's lovable, I don't hear weakness. I hear a survivor telling me where the last locked door is located. So let's talk about that door because I want to put my head and yours to think together. Okay? I want to put my healing cap on with you. And I want to answer the real questions that come up. What is the block? What contributes to it? And what is it that stops so many of us from truly believing we are lovable? So the first thing is what? The first thing I need you to know is she is not failing. Okay? The first thing I need to say and the first thing I need you to understand, I need you to really hear it. She is not failing at the work. She has hit the ceiling of one kind of work. There's a difference. Everything she has mastered, the regulation, the pep talk, the reframe, talking herself off the ledge, all of that is what I'd call top down. It's cognitive. It lives in the thinking, talking part of the brain, the part that uses language. And she is excellent at it. 30 years excellent, right? But here's the thing. The belief she's reaching for, I am lovable, I deserve good things, that belief was never installed in language. It was laid down in the body, before words, pre-verbally, through the nervous system, in the felt experience of being held or not held, of being attuned to or not, being wanted or not. And by her own account, that started in the womb. So follow me here. You cannot talk your way out of a conviction that was written into you before you had words. You can't. The self-talk is the right intention spoken in the wrong language. It's sincere. It's true. And it bounces off because it's knocking on the cognitive door of a wound that lives down in the basement. The words are upstairs. The wound is in the foundation. They never meet. They never do. And this is the part that gives me chills when she said it, because it confirms everything for me. It falls apart at night, she says, when she lies down. Why at night? Why not at noon? What not at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Well, because at night, the manager goes off duty. That strong, capable, prefrontal part of her, the one she spent 3 decades building, the one that runs the regulation and the reframes, that particular part goes offline when she's tired and laying in the dark. The defenses drop. The guard goes home. And when the guard goes home, that deep stuff, the implicit limbic body level material comes up to surface undefended. And the thinking scaffolding she built simply cannot hold the weight when she's exhausted and unguarded. So, what does it do? It crumbles, it falls apart. Now, hear me. This is important. That nighttime crumble, that nighttime collapse is not a setback. It is not proof she's broken. It is diagnostic. It is telling us with perfect precision which floor of the house the wound actually lives on. The night is not the enemy. The night is the messenger. So, what is the block? What is the block? This comes in three pieces for me. That's the real question. What blocks her from believing she's lovable? I want to give you three pieces, I believe, that contributes to that block. And they're woven together. Block one, the disbelief is a protector, not a malfunction. Let's start here because this changes everything about how we approach her. The disbelief is not a glitch. It is a bodyguard. Ask yourself this with me. What would happen if she let herself fully believe she was lovable and deserving? And then life did to her again what it has done her entire life. Another abandonment, another betrayal, another disappointment. If she's standing all the way up in belief, when that blow lands, the fall would be annihilating. It could end her, literally. So a part of her refuses to believe. And that part is doing something intelligent. It's doing preemptive grief management. It keeps the bar on the floor, down low, so that reality can never again shatter her from a height. To that part of her, when you say, just believe you're lovable, what it hears is, become dangerously, catastrophically vulnerable again. And it says, no, absolutely not. Not after everything we have survived. So here's the trap. As long as you are trying to defeat that part of her, you will lose. Every time. Because that part is older than any affirmation. It is more loyal than any therapist. It got her this far. It will not be argued down by a sticky note on a mirror. So you don't fight it. You turn toward it. You thank it. You get curious with it. You ask it gently, what are you afraid would happen if she believed it? Even a little, even 1%. Because disbelief almost always softens when it finally feels understood instead of argued with. You're not knocking the bodyguard out. You are introducing yourself to him. So what's block two? The reassurance is coming from a discredited source. Do you hear me? This is the second piece. When she lies there and tells herself, you deserve love, I want you to ask a strange question. Who is speaking and who is listening? It's the same person. She's the speaker and she's also the audience. And here's the problem. To the wounded part of her, that speaker, herself, is exactly the one who, in her felt experience, has always been the unlovable one, the one who couldn't make love stay, the one who, in her own story, keeps failing. So the comfort is arriving from the one source the wound does not trust. It's like what? It's like the verdict being read out loud by the defendant. The wound doesn't buy it. And here's the deeper truth underneath all that. Beliefs about whether we are lovable are relational. This is so important. They are born in relationship. And they almost always heal in relationship, not in solitude. Self talk is something we do alone inside your own head. But the wound is interpersonal. It was made between people. So that mismatch right there is why 30 years of talking to herself in the mirror has not moved a thing. It hasn't moved it. She's using a solo tool on a relational wound. Most likely, she never had what we call a good object, an internalized loving presence, someone who saw her and delighted in her early enough and consistently enough for it to take root inside her and become a voice she carries. You cannot internalize from scratch what was never given to you. You can't download a file that was never sent. Which means, and this is for me, and what I'm about to say is for the therapist and for anyone walking with her. Our relationship with her is not the truck that delivers the medicine. Our relationship is the medicine. The felt, repeated experience of being witnessed by another human being, of mattering to someone, and the relationship not collapsing, not turning on her, not leaving. That is the new data her body has been starving for. Not better words, new experiences of being held in relationship that don't end in pain. So you'll see. Do you get this? I hope you do. Block number 3. Underneath all of it, ungrieved grief. Okay? This is the deepest one. This is the deepest one. Underneath the disbelief is grief that has never been allowed to move. Think about what I am lovable actually does for her. As cruel as it sounds, as cruel as what I am about to say sounds, it's the more bearable story. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is I was lovable. I did deserve love. I deserved it as a child in that womb, as a girl in that house, as a wife in that marriage. And the people who were supposed to give it to me failed me anyway. Sit with that. Let's sit with that. That second story is almost harder to hold because it means the loss was real. It was undeserved. And it can never be undone. I'm lovable at least gives her an answer. It gives the whole thing a terrible kind of coherence. It answers the unbearable question every hurt child asks in the dark. Why did all this happen to me? By saying, because something is wrong with me. That's a lie, but it's a lie that organizes the pain. Do you hear me? So here's what that tells us. Sometimes the belief cannot change until the grief is allowed to move first. She may need to grieve, or she may need to actually mourn the child who deserved better and didn't get it. She needs to grieve and mourn that part. The adult cannot believe she deserves good things now while she's still standing on top of uh of an unfelt loss, holding it down. You move the grief and the belief gets room to breathe. She told me her trauma started before she was born. And I want to stop on that. I really want to stop on that, my soul family, because she was not being poetic when she said that. She was being precise, more precise than you can even think about. When her mother was pregnant with her and being abused while she carried her, my client was already there, already forming. And a baby in the womb is not sealed off from any of it. The mother's body the mother's body floods with stress chemistry, the fear, the bracing, the cortisol of a woman who is not safe. And that chemistry crosses over. It reaches the child. So before my client had a name, before she had a face she could show the world, before she had a single word, her nervous system was already being taught one lesson over and over again. The world is not safe. Stay braced. Do not relax. Do not trust. She learned unsafe before she learned anything else. That is not a metaphor. That is a body that was tuned to danger in the dark before birth. And here's where it goes even deeper. Stay with me, because this one will definitely stop your breath. The beginning of my client didn't start in her mother. It started in her grandmother. Hear me out. Here's what most people don't know. A woman is born with every egg she will ever carry already inside her. She doesn't make them later in life. She is born with all of them already formed. Which means this: when my client's mother was just a baby herself, still forming inside the grandmother's womb, the egg that would one day become my client was already there, already present. A cell inside her mother, inside her grandmother. 3 generations in one body at one time. So, in a real, physical, not spiritual, but literal sense, a piece of my client was present in her grandmother's womb. She was carried by women who were carrying their own fear, their own grief, their own surviving, their own trauma, their own loss, before she ever drew a single breath of her own. Hello. Now, let me be honest with you, the way I always try to be. The science here is still young, okay? And I'm not going to overstate it. But researchers are beginning to find what our traditions have always known, that when a body lives through something severe enough, it can leave a mark on how the very genes get read. And that mark can show up in the children and in the children's children. And hear me carefully on what travels down that line. It is not the memory of what happened, it's the alarm system, the body's volume knob turned all the way up to danger and handed down like an inheritance nobody asked for. So when my client tells me she was carrying this before she was born, she is telling the truth. And it tells us something tender about why all those affirmations never landed. You cannot talk your way out of something that was written into your body before you had words. Maybe even before you were conceived. The sticky note on the mirror is speaking a language the wound was never taught. And one more layer I want to add here. This is where my work lives. Some of this may not even be hers to carry. This is what I call an echo wound, a wound that runs down the line, a lineage that learned generations back that unworthiness was the safest way to survive. Do you hear me? That don't want too much, don't hope too high, don't believe you deserve was how the people before her stayed alive through what they lived through. And that gets passed down. It can feel like like your most personal private truth. I am unlovable when it is actually inherited freight. It is luggage someone handed you at birth that was never yours to begin with. And let me tell you, when you can name it as ancestral instead of personal, something cracks open. Because now it's not what's wrong with me. Now it's what did I inherit? And what am I finally allowed to set down? That reframe alone can create just enough room for her to loosen her grip. This is the heart of it. This is the heart of it, family. Your lineage is your medicine. And what you carry, you can transform. That's what I always say. So, where do we actually go from here? Is the question now, right? All right. Let's keep our thinking cap still on. Let me get practical because I don't ever want you to leave thinking, or I don't ever want you to leave with a beautiful diagnosis and no path. Here's how I would guide her slowly, slowly, but surely. One, stop recruiting more affirmations. Let's stop doing it. Again, I am not judging. I am not criticizing. I am not saying affirmations don't work. Don't get it twisted. I am speaking for when we are dealing with clients that mirror what my client has gone through and has experienced. Let's stop recruiting more affirmations. And I know that sounds backwards, but that tool has reached its limit for her, right? Piling one more, better, stronger affirmations won't break through. And worse, Every time they bounce off, it deepens her sense that she's failing. We're not going to hand a drowning swimmer a heavier anchor. We put that tool down with respect for how far it has carried her. Number two, I'd say change the goal from believing to experiencing. Believing you're lovable is a finish line in the head, and she keeps sprinting at it and slamming into the wall. So we change the game. Belief at this depth is not argued into existence. It is grown. It is grown out of new, felt moments that quietly contradict the old wiring. We're not chasing a conclusion. We're collecting experiences. Number three, let's go bottom up. Instead of top down, as I said earlier, let's go bottom up through the body. The body is where it learned unsafe, unlovable. So the body is the doorway out. That means co-regulation, healing in the presence of a safe other, small doses of warmth, of being with, of safety she can actually feel in her own skin. Okay? Small titrated doses of warmth, not a lecture to the mind, an experience to the nervous system. The basement learned it. The basement has to unlearn it. Number four, lower the bar radically. Radically. Why? Or better yet, we do not ask her, do you believe you're lovable? That question is way too big. And it sets her up to fail at midnight. Instead, we need to ask, can you find one moment, one single moment, one cell in your body where it felt even 1% possible that you might be lovable? And we build from there, from lived micro evidence, not from a truth she has to declare, from a flicker she actually felt. 1% is not small. 1% is a crack, and the light gets in through the crack. And then the next thing I would do, take back the night. The undefended hour when she lies down. Instead of leaving it as the hour the disbelief reliably wins, we make it sacred ground, a soothing, co-regulating practice at bedtime, an internalized sense of a loving presence with her in the dark, something her body can lean against when when the guard goes off duty. We don't abandon her to the hardest hour. We meet her there. I hope this makes sense. Now, one honest word about safety. Let me be honest and clear here. The way I'd be with any particular walking road is how I want to express this. With trauma this early and this layered, and a history that has included suicidal thinking. Her clinical relationship matters. It matters. The therapist, the professional support, that stays in place. Right alongside the deeper relational and soul level work we do. This is important. This is not a competition. The belief work and the safety net are not fighting each other. They hold her together. Anyone who tells you healing means throwing away your therapist or your support group is not protecting you. They're literally putting you at risk. We keep both. Always. Okay? Let that be crystal clear. Whew. My. I think I got all my thoughts out. I believe, I hope, I pray. And I also pray that this landed and supports you in your journey or in the journey that you are supporting for someone else. Anyway, so here's what I told her. And here's what I want to leave with you tonight. What we're really doing here is not convincing her she's lovable. We're not trying to win the argument in her head. What we're helping her do, slowly, gently, in her body, in real relationship, in real time, is let herself risk finding out that she always was. She was lovable in the womb. She was lovable in that house as a little girl. She was lovable in a marriage that didn't deserve her and broke her. She is lovable right now, tonight, lying in the dark, not believing a word I'm saying. The belief will come last. I repeat, the belief will come last. The experience comes first. So we start with the experience, 1% at a time. So you'll see. If you saw yourself anywhere in her story, I want you to hear it. You are not failing. You have just been knocking on the wrong door. There's another door, and we are going to find it together. What you carry, you can transform. Your lineage is your medicine. I am Coach Afi G, and this has been What We Carry. Until next time, take care of what you carry. Ashe.